Cerberus, what did we see this week in Valorant? Changing up the pace a little bit. Well, Cerberus, let me tell you, Valorant continued this week with teams playing for seeding into a bracket for playoffs. These matches were important as those would set their bracket positions, but would also qualify them for the main event playoffs, which have implications stretching all the way to Masters in April. With the final qualifying matches for main event in NA this week, here's what we saw in the results. Well, Cerberus, match 1 of the weekend saw Cloud9 take on the Guard. Both teams have been playing well, with neither team having dropped a game yet. However, that changed with this matchup. The Guard was able to take map 1, but Cloud9 turned on the burners after that and smoked the Guard after only allowing them to win 6 rounds over the next 2 games. With that, Cloud9 walked away with the easy match.
C9 total round 1 was 33, with Leaf leading an impressive 1.81 KD. The Guard only able to take 19 total rounds.
Wow. Match 2 brought another match between NRG and Rise. There wasn't much to say about this one as NRG came out and just rolled over Rise. There was only one player on Rise to go positive in KD, and nearly everyone on NRG did so. Other than that, not much to discuss.
Except for the rounds. NRG total rounds 1 was 26, with Iwi carrying a 2.15 KD. Rise was only able to take 11 rounds. I don't know how to say that. You
sound like those TikToks where they're like, you didn't go ooh woo. What do you expect me to go ooh woo?
Cerberus, you gotta hit him with this. You gotta do it. You gotta hit him with this, and you gotta.
Ooh woo.
There we go. Kitty. Anyway,
oh Jesus,
carried it with 2.15.
All right. Moving on from whatever that just was.
Yeah.
On Saturday, we were treated to another couple of matches.
Mm-hmm.
First up was 100 Thieves taking on Evil Geniuses. With 100 Thieves' recent struggles, they needed something to keep their team's hopes high, and they got it in this match. In a tough matchup against EG, 100 Thieves were able to walk away with the win, even though it was a close series.
100T was able to take 27 rounds, and EG took a close 23.
And then in the second match of Saturday, it was another close series between XET and Luminosity. Even though XET took the series 2-0, it was far closer than the scoreline suggests. Luminosity hung tough, especially in that map too, taking it to within 2 rounds. But XET was able to put in another strong performance, winning them the game.
XET was able to run with 26 rounds, with Cryocells carrying a 1.7 KD. LG was only able to win 16 rounds.
And then moving on to Sunday, it brought 2 more games, with the first being version 1 facing off against Sentinels. This match, along with the second, had a chance to change up the standings in Group B for playoffs if Sentinels could have pulled out a win against version 1. However, version 1 proved why they have been so good and put the Sentinels in the dirt and won the series after just 2.
Yeah, Sentinel's pullout game is weak, but V1 was able to take 26 rounds with Whoopee carrying a 1.62 KD, while Sentinels were only able to clutch 15 rounds.
This is my co-host, folks. This is my co-host.
Well, game week.
And then in the final match of the weekend, Optic Gaming took on the Pittsburgh Knights. With seeing the results of the first match, Optic seized on their opportunity to clutch the second spot in Group B. They ended up taking a comfortable series off of the Knights in a very dominant fashion and secured a comfortable position for playoffs.
Optic was able to win 26 rounds, with Victor having an impressive 2.0 KD, while Pittsburgh only was able to take 13 of those rounds. With matches finished, so that's the end. With matches finished, here are the standings from group play.
Thank you for specifying.
Yeah, of course, of course. So part of the group play, wow. In Group A, number 1, we have Cloud9. Number 2, we have The Guard. Number 3, we have XSET. 4, we have Luminosity Gaming. Number 5, we have 100 Thieves. Number 6, we have Evil Geniuses. And then in Group B, we have number 1, Version 1. Number 2, we have Optic Gaming. Number 3, we have Sentinels. 4, we have Pittsburgh Knights. 5, we have NRG Esports. And number 6, we have Rise.
And to explain a little bit why this matters, the bottom 2 teams from each group were immediately eliminated from stage 1 and will have to wait until stage 2 to have another shot at improving their positions for hopefully making it to champs this year. The top 4 teams moved on to playoffs, where they will play in a double elimination bracket to see who the top 2 teams are, who will move on to Valorant Masters in April. With that being said, the first 4 matches of the bracket come out as Cloud9 taking on the Pittsburgh Knights in Game 1. Game 2 will be Optic Gaming versus XSET. Game 3 will be Version 1 taking on Luminosity. And 4th game will be The Guard taking on the Sentinels. But that's enough Valorant for this week. Let's move on and see what's happening in the world of CSGO. Well, CSGO came back this week after a month-long, starting off with a month-long tournament of ESL Pro League 15, where teams were playing for their share of the $823,000 prize pool. From now until April 3rd, teams are playing in group play, where teams are split into 4 groups consisting of 6 teams. This week was all Group A show, and here's the results that we got. On day 1, we started out with 3 matches. First up was G2 Esports taking on Looking for an Org, where G2 was able to comfortably take it for their first win in the tournament. Entropic took on Moose in the next match, where Entropic was able to take it after some very close games, only winning by a total of 9 rounds between the 2 games. And then the final match of the day, it saw Ninjas in Pajamas take on Fnatic, where Ninjas in Pajamas were able to take a resounding victory, completely shutting out Fnatic.
Very dominating day. Most standout of the day was Rez of NIP going positive 29 in Slays.
And then in day 2, it started off with Moose taking on the powerhouse in G2 Esports. Despite G2 being a juggernaut, Moose was able to contain G2, winning the series 2-0. In the second match of the day, it was Ninjas in Pajamas taking on Entropic, where Entropic was able to not keep it competitive, with NIP taking both maps. And then in the final match of the day, Looking for Org took on Fnatic, and Fnatic battled back after losing map 1 to take the series by winning the next 2 maps.
Two standouts were Torzy of Moose and Plopsky of Nip, with a positive 15 in slays for both.
In day 3, we saw another 3 matches, with the first match being between Ninjas in Pajamas and Moves. Maps were back and forth on this one, but NIP was able to pull it out on the third map, winning it 2-1. In match 2, we saw Looking for an Org take on Entropic, where Entropic were able to take the match somewhat comfortably, taking it 2-0. And then in the final match of the day, Fnatic took on G2, and after losing map 1, Fnatic turned it around and were able to put G2 in the absolute blendy, taking the last 2 maps, only dropping a total of 9 rounds in those last 2.
Poison of Fnatic was the biggest standout of the day, going positive 29 in slays.
Impressive.
Mm-hmm.
On day 4 of Group A play, we were treated to another 3. In game 1, Ninjas in Pajamas took on Looking for an Orc, where Ninjas won the series 2-1. It was a convincing win for Ninjas, except for map 2, which was the only close one in the series. Match 2 saw Fnatic take on Moose, where Fnatic woke up after map 1 and mopped the floor with Moose. And then the final match of the day was G2 facing off against Entropic. G2's recent struggles seem to have continued in this match, where Entropic were able to take a close series after dropping map 1.
Monsi of G2 and Bymus of Fnatic both standing out, going positive with 19 slays.
And then in the final 3 games of the weekend, it was more series, but they were all convincing. G2 were able to straighten themselves out after the first. G2 were able to straighten themselves out in the first match against Ninjas in Pajamas, taking the series 2-0. Match 2 saw Fnatic fall to Entropic, who have been playing extremely well. And then in the final match, Moose cakewalked past Looking for an Org, taking the series 2-0.
The biggest standout of the whole weekend was today, with Hunter of G2 going positive 30 for slays.
Wow. And after all the matches were done and dusted, the standings for Group A were first Ninjas in Pajamas with a 4-1 record, going plus 45 in round count. Second was Entropic with a 4-1 record, but only plus 18 in round count. Third was Fnatic at a 3-2 record. Fourth was Moose at 2-3. Fifth, G2 Esports 2-3. And then rounding out the group was Looking for an Org, not winning a single match. So 0-5.
I'm gonna start off some Apex Legends, and then I'm gonna pass it on over to Cerberus. So
Apex?
Did I say Apex? Just one pack.
Just one.
I'm gonna take over one pack, and then Cerberus will take the rest of the packs.
Okay, I'll take the rest of the packs. Go ahead.
I just get one. So with Apex, after taking a 2-week break due to the horrific world events that have occurred, Apex Legends Pro Scene has returned to bring us a bit of joy in dark times. It was the beginning of split number 2, with 40 teams taking part trying to place top 10 to secure playoff spots. Here's what happened on the 12th and the 13th.
All right. Well, in day 1 of ALGS, their return, we were treated to 6 rounds of matches where it was clear teams ahead of the pack. Especially in this one, Esports Arena came out and showed they were ahead of everyone else by winning 4 out of the 6 rounds by a considerable margin.
Cloud9 and not. I saying?
Do you want to run that back by me there, Hammy?
Cloud9 and Team Liquid also showed up both winning one round, but it was completely Esports Arena who controlled the games.
It definitely was. And on day 2 of matches, we saw some more dominant performances. G2 were able to take these sets of matches not only by placing well, but also by racking up the slays. They were closely followed by TSM, but they were not able to squeak out enough of a score to take the games. Sentinels and Dexterity were able to come in 3rd and 4th as well. I would like to point out too that G2 had an absolutely dominant round 4 where they placed 1st and had the highest slay count out of any match with 16 slays.
Cerberus, with the first sets of games having been played, what are the top 10 teams? Let me know.
Well, in 1st and 2nd, we have G2 Esports and Esports Arena Red with 25 points. In 3rd and 4th, we have 100 Thieves and TSM with 21 points. In 5th and 6th, we have Counter Logic Gaming and Sentinels with 18. In 7th and 8th, we have Team Liquid and Dexterity with 16 points apiece. And then rounding out the top 10 in 9 and 10, we have All Glory Gaming and Cloud9 with 15 apiece. Well, that rounds out our Apex coverage for the week.